Gordon Ryan just released a new instructional called Inside Camping. It is already a bestseller on BJJ Fanatics, and it comes with a premium price tag of $349. So in this review, you are going to find out exactly what you get for that money, who this instructional is really made for, how simple it is to follow no matter your level in Jiu-Jitsu. And at the end, I will give you a clear 1 to 10 rating, so you know if it is worth the cost or not. What makes this stand out is that it is built around calm pressure and clear ideas that you can understand without needing speed or explosiveness, which means it speaks to beginners who want confidence as well as advanced athletes who want to control rounds without draining their energy. If you are curious why so many people are buying this instructional and if it really delivers on that hype, stay with me, because by the end you will know if Gordon's Inside Camping deserves a place in your training library. Chapter 1. What you actually learn in plain words. When you watch Gordon Ryan's Inside Camping instructional, the first thing that stands out is how much of it is about changing the way you see the fight rather than stacking more moves onto your plate. You are being shown that passing in Jiu-Jitsu is not always about speed, surprise, or endless movement. It can also be about creating an environment where the person on bottom slowly runs out of safe choices while you stay in control the whole time. What you learn is not a long chain of positions with complicated names. What you learn is that control can be simple, it can be steady, and it can be built from ideas that anyone can follow after a single watch. This makes the instructional very different from most of what you see in the market, because instead of giving you 10 different answers for 10 different guards, Gordon gives you one big theme that works across many situations, and he keeps returning to that theme, so you never lose the thread. You learn that you do not have to keep guessing or reacting to every new look your partner throws at you. You can rely on a clear plan that feels the same no matter who you are rolling with. For someone new, this is a game changer because you finally get to think less and do more. And for someone experienced, it is refreshing because you can plug this into your game without needing to rebuild everything else. The real lesson here is that passing does not have to feel like a storm. It can feel steady. And when you understand that you gain confidence in every round, you learn that patience is not the same as stalling. It is a tool that makes the other person burn energy while you save yours. You learn that control is not something you need special talent for. It is something you can create with clarity and focus. That is what you actually take away in plain words from this instructional, a new lens that makes passing look easier and more achievable for anyone who is serious about improving their Jiu-Jitsu. Chapter 2. Why beginners click with this on day 1. If you are new to Jiu-Jitsu, this instructional feels very different from most of the material you will find because it does not bury you in complicated names or ask you to remember dozens of steps before you can even try it. Instead, you are given one clear theme that you can understand the moment you hear it. The idea that you can win exchanges by slowing the room down and making the other person carry more of the work. For a beginner, this is gold. Because the hardest part of starting Jiu-Jitsu is usually the chaos, the fast scrambles, the sense that you never have enough time to think. Inside Camping flips that experience on its head. You immediately realize that you do not need to keep up with every detail to survive. You can lean on calm control, you can set the pace, and you can build confidence without having to memorize a library of moves. It is less about knowing everything and more about feeling safe. And that is exactly what beginners need when they are still learning how to relax in the middle of a round. The teaching style helps too, because Gordon explains the same idea in different ways, which means even if one description goes over your head, the next one lands and you get that light bulb moment where it finally clicks. Another reason this connects with beginners so quickly is that it does not demand physical gifts you may not have yet. You do not need fast reactions. You do not need perfect timing. You do not even need to be in great shape. You just need to stay patient, stay balanced, and let the other person show their hand first. That is a message anyone can apply on day 1. and it gives you a sense of control in a sport that often feels overwhelming at the start. This is why so many new students find inside camping approachable. It strips away the noise and replaces it with a calm plan that you can believe in from your very first class. And since we are talking about learning, let me share something important. Instructionals are a great way to study, but I also believe that watching real competition footage and learning directly from the source is the best way to grow. Many of you already know that a lot of instructionals are filled with extra words and techniques that never appear in tournaments, added only to make them seem longer and deeper. That is why, even though I do watch a lot of instructionals, my main resource has always been competition footage, because that is the most honest way to study the art. On my Patreon, you will find exclusive match breakdowns I cannot post here on YouTube, along with detailed guides and free tips I share every day. The link is in the description and also pinned in the comments below. Now let's continue with the review. Chapter 3. What Gordon covers and how it helps you. What makes this instructional easy to watch is that it is not just Gordon showing moves on a partner. It is Gordon building a clear story that runs across multiple volumes. You see him start with the main idea, which is the mindset of staying close, and then he slowly opens that idea in different directions, so you can see how it works in real situations. Instead of bouncing around from subject to subject, he keeps returning to the same theme, which means the more you watch, the deeper it gets without feeling complicated. The layout itself is part of the value. You are walked through the big concept. You are shown how it looks in different body positions. You are given examples of how to handle common reactions. And then you see Gordon test it in live training with clear commentary over the top. That kind of mix is rare in instructionals, because usually you either get endless theory with no action or endless sparring with no explanation. Here you get both, and that balance makes it easier for you to trust what you are seeing, because you can connect the words with the reality of live rounds. What helps you as a viewer is that Gordon does not assume you already know his past systems. You can come in fresh, watch this as your first exposure, and still follow along without getting lost. The chapters build on each other in a way that feels natural and that keeps you engaged, even if you normally struggle to sit through long videos. By the time you reach the later sections, you are not just collecting knowledge, you are watching how it breathes in real sparring, and that combination gives you confidence that the method is not just theory, but something you can believe in. The end result is that you walk away with more than information. You walk away with a sense of clarity. You see how a world champion builds an idea from the ground up. You hear him explain it in plain language, and you see him prove it under pressure. That is what Gordon covers, and why it helps you as a viewer, because it is not just about teaching moves. It is about showing you a way of thinking that holds up when it matters most. Chapter 4. Why this works even if you are not fast. One of the most common fears people have in Jiu-Jitsu is that they are too slow or not athletic enough to keep up, and that fear can make you believe that passing is only for the young or explosive. What makes this instructional different is that Gordon shows you a system that does not care about your speed. It is built on the idea that you can win by slowing things down, by putting the weight of the round on the other person instead of yourself, and by letting time do the hard work for you. That message lands immediately because it is the opposite of what most people think they need to do. When you see Gordon explain and demonstrate this approach, you realize that being fast is no longer the requirement. You can be steady, you can be patient, and you can still get the results you want. This makes the system accessible to older athletes, to people who train after work and do not have endless energy, and to anyone who has ever felt that speed was not their advantage. It removes the pressure to match the other person's tempo and replaces it with the confidence that your control will eventually wear them down. Another reason this works without speed is that it changes where the energy is spent. Instead of wasting yours on constant motion, you are forcing your partner to burn theirs just to hold you off. That shift makes a huge difference over the length of a round. By the time the window opens for you to move, they are tired while you are fresh. And that is when your advantage shows. You are no longer trying to outrun their defense. You are simply waiting until it is weak enough to step through with ease. The beauty of this is that it gives everyone a way into passing, no matter their physical gifts. If you're fast, this approach makes you more efficient because you will not burn out early. If you are slow, this approach makes you effective because you do not need to chase. Either way, you find yourself in control of the pace. And that is one of the most powerful feelings you can have in Jiu-Jitsu. That is why this works, even if you are not fast, because it is built on principles that apply to every body type and every style. Chapter 5. How this fits what you already do. One of the strongest parts of this instructional is that you do not need to change your entire game to use it. Whatever style of passing you already prefer, whether it is heavy pressure, constant movement, or even more playful attacks, the ideas Gordon explains here can slide right in without conflict. The focus is on teaching you how to manage space, how to keep control when the pace slows down, and how to make your opponent do more of the work. That means you can keep your favorite moves and simply add this as a layer that makes them safer and more reliable. For beginners, this is important because you are still figuring out what your style even is. Instead of feeling like you have to pick between one extreme and another, you can carry these lessons into whatever path you choose. If you like to move a lot, inside camping will teach you how to rest inside that movement. If you like to stay heavy, it will give you even more confidence that your weight is being used in the smartest way possible. For advanced athletes, this is just as valuable because it fills in the gaps. You might already have speed and timing, but adding a plan that works, even when you slow down, makes your overall game harder to crack. What this really gives you is freedom. You are not forced to abandon what you know. You are not forced to build an entirely new playbook. You are simply given a set of rules that strengthen what you already do best. That is why this instructional appeals to such a wide audience. Everyone can see themselves in it. You can be a white belt or a black belt, a competitor or a hobbyist, and you will still find ways to plug these lessons into the rounds you are already having. It is rare to find material that adapts to you instead of demanding that you adapt to it. And that is exactly why inside camping fits so naturally into your training. Chapter 6. Common problems. This fixes for you. Every grappler knows the frustration of sitting right in front of someone and not knowing how to move past them. And that single problem can make Jiu-Jitsu feel stuck. What this instructional gives you is a clear way to deal with that moment. Instead of rushing around or forcing moves you are not ready for, you learn how to stay calm, keep steady pressure, and let the other person burn their energy while you save yours. That alone takes away one of the biggest roadblocks people face when they first try to pass. Another issue this fixes is the feeling of getting tired too quickly. Many athletes push the pace as hard as they can, hoping that speed will carry them through. But the cost is that you gas out long before the round is over. Gordon's approach flips that script. You are no longer the one wasting energy. You learn to control the pace so that you can keep breathing normally while the other person is struggling to keep up. Over time this adds up, and you realize you can still be fresh at the end while your partner is worn down. It also takes away the fear of moving forward. A lot of people hesitate to step in close because they are worried something bad will happen if they do. With this plan, you no longer feel like you are guessing. You know what the plan is. You know what your role is. And that gives you the confidence to move without second guessing yourself. That sense of security is huge, especially if you are new. Finally, this approach solves the mental stress of overthinking. When you face someone who plays a style you do not recognize, it is easy to panic and wonder if you need a special answer for every situation. Inside camping removes that pressure. You are not collecting dozens of different fixes. You are relying on one steady approach that applies again and again, that clears your head, makes your training calmer, and helps you actually enjoy the process. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, these are problems that almost everyone faces on the mat. And that is why this instructional connects so well. It gives you solutions to the sticking points that used to make you doubt yourself. And it does it in a way that feels simple and repeatable, no matter your level. Chapter 7. What advanced athletes like you gain from it. If you already have years of training behind you, this instructional still has a lot to offer, because it is not about adding random tricks to your game. At higher levels, the difference between winning and losing is rarely a brand new move. It is usually how well you can control the pace and manage your energy over the course of long tough rounds. That is exactly what Gordon focuses on here. What advanced athletes gain is a reliable plan that can act as a safety net when the fight gets messy. Even if you have fast passing, sharp submissions, or a dynamic guard game, there are always moments where things slow down and become a grind. Inside camping gives you clear answers for those moments, so you are never left stalling or second guessing. It becomes the steady foundation that supports everything else you do. Another benefit for advanced athletes is the efficiency this style creates. In long brackets, late rounds, or high-level training sessions, energy management is everything. Gordon's approach makes sure you are the one dictating how hard the exchange is. Instead of getting pulled into wild scrambles, you are the one who chooses when to push and when to rest. That control gives you more left in the tank for the finish, which can be the edge you need against someone of equal skill. It also adds a layer of confidence to your passing. Many advanced grapplers already know dozens of ways to get around the guard, but knowing moves is not the same as feeling safe in every situation. This instructional reinforces the idea that you can always fall back on calm, steady pressure when everything else fails. That extra security lets you open up more of your game, because you know you have something solid to lean on if the pace turns against you. The real takeaway for advanced athletes is that this plan makes your jiu-jitsu more complete. It does not replace what you already do well. It fills in the gaps and removes the weak points. It gives you consistency. And at the highest levels of the sport, consistency is what wins. Chapter 8. How this fits your kimono days and your training without the kimono. One of the best things about this instructional is that the main ideas do not depend on whether you are training with the kimono or without it. The core message is about pressure, patience, and staying close. And those principles work no matter what you are wearing. That means you do not need to split your training brain into two completely separate games. You can carry the same mindset into both styles and feel the benefits right away. If you spend more time with the kimono, the extra grips can make some guards harder to deal with. But the beauty of inside camping is that you do not need to outplay every grip. You are still working with the same calm plan, and the longer your opponent tries to hold you, the more energy they spend. Instead of getting caught up in a grip battle, you keep your weight steady, you stay close, and you let the plan work. If you focus more on training without the kimono, the approach is just as valuable. The game is usually faster and more dynamic without the kimono, but having a method that slows things down and puts you back in control is a huge advantage. It means that even in high-paced rounds, you can find a moment to breathe, reset, and still make progress without having to match every burst of speed. For athletes who split time between both styles, this is even more useful. You do not have to learn two different playbooks. You carry the same main idea across both, which makes your overall jiu-jitsu more consistent. That consistency is what allows you to switch from one style to the other without feeling lost. This is one of the reasons inside camping has become so popular. It is not locked to a single rule set or training style. It gives you tools that travel with you, whether you are in a kimono class or even preparing for competition. That flexibility makes it a long-term investment because it never goes out of style and it never stops being useful. Chapter 9. Price, value, and which buyer you are. The cost of Gordon Ryan's Inside Camping Instructional is $349, and that number is always the first thing people want to know if it is justified. this is a premium price, one of the highest you will see for a single piece of Jiu-Jitsu content. And that means it has to deliver more than just interesting details. It has to give you long-term value. The real question is not only what you pay, but what you get back from it over weeks and months of training. For beginners, the value shows up in clarity. Many instructionals try to impress you with complexity, which often leaves you more confused than before. Here, you are paying for a plan that cuts through noise and gives you confidence right away. That makes the cost easier to accept because it saves you months of trial and error. If you're brand new and want one resource that can carry you forward, this is worth serious consideration. For advanced athletes, the value is about refinement. At higher levels, even a small improvement in control or efficiency can change results in competition or in long training rounds. $349 is a lot, but compared to what you already invest in travel, competition fees, or gym memberships, the price makes sense. If this material gives you an edge that lasts, it is less about buying moves and more about buying consistency, which is often the difference maker when you face tough opponents. For coaches, the value is in teaching plan and clarity. Having Gordon lay out a system in a clear way gives you a model for how to explain pressure-based passing to your students without overwhelming them. This can shape the way you run classes and help your students progress faster, which multiplies the return far beyond the cost. If this were priced around $200, it would feel almost perfect to most buyers. But at $349, it still stands as premium. At the end of the day, this is not meant to be a quick impulse buy. It is designed to be a long-term addition to your training library. If you want something you can revisit for months, that you can watch again and again without it feeling outdated, then the price matches the depth of what you receive. If you only want a handful of techniques or a quick highlight, then it may feel expensive. The answer depends on what type of buyer you are right now. Chapter 10. Final takeaway and the 1 to 10 rating. When you finish this instructional, you are left with a very clear view of what inside passing can look like at the highest level. And the main takeaway is that this is not theory. This is a proven plan that works under real pressure. It is the style Gordon Ryan has used over and over to control world-class opponents. And it is also the style that dominated much of the action at the Craig Jones Invitational 2, where top athletes leaned on inside passing to shut down guards and win matches. That alone shows you that this is not just an idea. It is a reality at the cutting edge of competition. Now we need to talk honestly about the price. The listed cost is $349, which is steep. In my opinion, the sweet spot for a product like this would be closer to $200. That price point would feel fairer to the average grappler and make it more accessible to the broader community. Because of that gap, I rate this instructional 9 out of 10. The material itself is outstanding. The teaching is top level. The clarity is strong. The only real drawback is the cost. And while that does not erase the value, it does matter for many buyers. From my own perspective, this is the style of passing I use most, and it has been the most beneficial for my training. It has given me a way to control rounds, save energy, and feel calm in places that used to feel chaotic. Seeing Gordon explain it step by step only confirmed that this is a method worth studying deeply. He is the best in the world at inside passing, and he teaches it with the same calm and precision that he uses on the mat. You are not just buying information, you are learning from the person who has proven that this works against the very best. If I were to leave you with one line, it would be this: simple ideas that hold up under the hardest pressure are the ones worth keeping. That is exactly what you get here. Inside camping is simple, it is steady, and it works when the lights are brightest. If you can accept the price, this is one of the strongest investments you can make in your jiu-jitsu. My final rating is 9 out of 10, and the missing point comes only from the cost, not from the content. Everything else is world-class, and if you want to keep learning with me, the journey does not stop here. On my Patreon, you will find exclusive competition breakdowns I cannot post on YouTube, along with guides and free tips. The link is in the description and pinned comment below. And if you want to keep improving with me on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so future videos find you automatically. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.